For months, 3AI Atlas has been the most perplexing enigma in the sky. Interstellar wanderer larger than anything we've ever encountered, glowing with an emerald light so intense that it painted the night skies of Earth and unsettled even the most experienced astronomers. From the moment it was first detected, nothing about it made sense. Its scale, its brightness, its rhythm, its strange pulses of energy. But just as humanity began to adjust to its presence, to accept it as a single mysterious anomaly racing toward the sun, the unimaginable happened. Observers watching closely saw it change, not disintegrating in chaos like a dying comet, but dividing smoothly, deliberately, into two colossal bodies. This was not fragmentation. This was reproduction. One body continued on its original course toward the sun, glowing steadily as before, while the other shifted, bending its path, not randomly, but precisely toward Mars. It was a moment that shattered the boundaries of what we thought we knew about celestial objects, forcing scientists, governments, and ordinary people alike to ask the same terrifying question. What exactly is 3AI Atlas? And what is its true purpose, now that it has doubled itself? As this unfolds, we'll continue bringing you every discovery. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss what happens next. The event itself unfolded slowly at first, almost imperceptibly. High-resolution imaging of Atlas's coma revealed a strange bulge forming on one side, a swelling of light that refused to dissipate. But as ours at first, astronomers thought it might be a temporary flare, the release of gases or dust from the object's surface. Past that brightening condensed into something new, a second luminous core, distinct yet tethered, drifting gently away from the original. The world had seen comets fragment before, but never like this. Cometry breakups are chaotic, spraying debris in jagged arcs, leaving clouds of shattered dust that scatter and fade. But Atlas's split was different. It was symmetrical, controlled like a cell undergoing mitosis, dividing evenly into two complete and self-sustaining entities. Both bodies retained dense cores. Both radiated the same emerald glow. Both pulsed with the exact same rhythm. For scientists glued to their monitors, it was as though the laws of physics had bent before their eyes. No known natural mechanism could account for such an organized division. Instead, what they saw looked intentional, a process that carried with it the haunting suggestion of purpose. Atlas had not broken apart. It had multiplied. Once the split was undeniable, the focus turned to the question of trajectory. Would both bodies follow the same path? Would the second fragment drift aimlessly, carried by inertia into deep space? Ital calculations answered within days, and the results sent shock waves across the scientific community. Original 3AI Atlas maintained its steady arc toward perihelion, its closest pass to the sun. But the second object began to deviate almost immediately. Subtle at first, the shift grew more pronounced with every observation until the numbers revealed a chilling truth. Its path was bending directly toward Mars. This was not random. It was not an accident of celestial mechanics. The new object had stabilized its course into what looked like an intercept with the red planet's orbit. Suddenly, humanity's dreams of Mars, its rovers, orbiters, planned missions, and visions of colonization were cast into jeopardy. To her body, the size of Atlas hurtling toward Mars could obliterate satellites, destabilize the thin Martian atmosphere, and even send debris cascading toward Earth. And yet, some began to whisper another possibility. What if the course was not destructive, but deliberate? What if Atlas had divided itself so that one half could continue its dance with the Sun, while the other made its way to the planet that humanity has long seen as its second home? Even more disturbing than the division itself was the strange bond that remained between the two bodies. Instruments across the globe and in orbit detected that their electromagnetic pulses were still synchronized, flashing in tandem despite the growing distance between them. Like twin beacons, they emitted bursts of radiation with uncanny precision, as if still connected by some invisible thread. When plotted, their pulses revealed identical timing, identical frequencies, identical variations, as though each half of Atlas continued to communicate with the other, operating as a single organism spread across millions of kilometers. The implications of this baffled scientists. Two separate objects, divided and moving along distinct paths, should have lost such perfect synchronicity. Yet they remained locked in harmony, and the effects rippled outward. Satellites orbiting Mars began to register unexplained fluctuations in their senses, as if the red planet itself was already within the influence of the approaching body. Even the James Webb Telescope reported interference when attempting to focus on the region near Mars. Its instruments clouded by rhythmic distortions aligned with Atlas's twin pulses. The idea took hold that these were not two separate entities at all, but one divided presence, a singular phenomenon, maintaining awareness across vast distances. It was not destruction. It was expansion. As orbital paths became clearer, the sense of dread deepened. The second object was not simply passing near Mars. It was converging with alarming precision. Its path intersected with the very zone occupied by the planet's satellites and rovers, as though it had chosen the red planet as a target. Was this coincidence, or was it intention? Governments scrambled to reposition spacecraft, but private observatories and independent astronomers began to notice something even more bizarre. The second object was not merely glowing, it was emitting structured patterns of light. Spirals, grids, and geometric shapes flashed across its emerald halo, as though writing across the sky. Some compared these patterns to mathematical constants. Others pointed out eerie resemblances to ancient symbols found carved into stone on Earth. To many, it looked less like a comet's chaotic reflection of sunlight and more like a message, a display aimed at Mars. If the first Atlas fragment was the herald, a piece destined to complete its course, Around the sun, then the second appeared. To be a messenger, a presence with its sights fixed on the red planet. And with every hour that passed, the question became harder to ignore. Was Mars chosen as a destination, a stage, or something far more unsettling? As the second fragment of Atlas continued its steady march toward the red planet, astronomers began noticing subtle changes in Mars itself. The thin atmosphere, usually calm and predictable, started showing sudden disturbances. Dust storms formed in patterns far too organized to be random, spiraling with eerie symmetry. Orbital cameras detected faint flashes in the upper atmosphere, as if the planet were responding to the approaching body with its own bursts of energy. Some dismissed these as coincidental Martian weather events, but the timing matched too perfectly with Atlas's synchronized pulses. Even stranger, Mars' faint magnetosphere, normally almost non-existent, began to register fluctuations, glowing faintly in ultraviolet scans as though being reawakened. It was as if the fragment approaching Mars was already exerting influence on the planet, like a hand reaching forward before making full contact. To those watching, the image was terrifying. A green-tinged shadow falling across a world humanity has always dreamed of reaching, now claimed by something alien before we could ever call it our own. Normally, an event of this magnitude, an interstellar object splitting in two with one half targeting Mars, would dominate headlines. Yet, from NASA and other space agencies came almost nothing. A few dry statements referred to fragmentation events and unusual orbital deviations. But the language was clinical, evasive, designed to deflect curiosity. Behind closed doors, however, the leaks told another story. Insiders spoke of frantic simulations showing possible impacts with Mars's surface or its moons. Engineers worried about the safety of rovers and orbiters, especially as communication blackouts with Mars assets grew more frequent. Yet instead of transparency, files were sealed. Public data streams were mysteriously cut during key observations. Some suggested this was to avoid panic, while others believed it was far worse, that NASA had already realized the second object was not behaving like a natural fragment, and the decision had been made to hide its true nature. For the growing number of independent observers, the silence became its own kind of confirmation that something extraordinary and perhaps dangerous was unfolding, and the world was being kept in the dark. By the time the fragment crossed the asteroid belt, the synchronization between the two Atlas bodies began to evolve. Instead of flashing only toward each other, the pulses now aligned with Mars itself. Instruments detected a low-frequency resonance centered on the red planet. A hum that echoed through orbiters and rovers alike. Even the faint seismographs embedded in Martian soil by past missions registered unusual vibrations, rhythmic quakes that match the emerald pulses streaking across space. Scientists struggled to explain how an approaching body could interact so precisely with a planet millions of kilometers away. But the pattern was undeniable. Mars was no longer just a target. It had become part of the signal, vibrating in harmony with Atlas's heartbeat. Theories swirled. Was the fragment trying to awaken something dormant beneath the Martian crust? Was it establishing resonance for a landing? Or even a transformation of the planet itself?